I just wanted to show you two really quick methods on how to add fonts to your website. Now, the easiest way is to use Google Fonts, and the second way is to use FontFace and downloading the fonts locally onto your project or putting it into your project itself. Now, to test all this out, I have currently set up a project in a React application. So using Create React App, as you can see here. So I've just taken out some of the boilerplate code and just replaced it with a H1. And we have our app.js component here. We have our style sheet here, which is just our app.css. And then in our public folder, in our index.html, this is where we will be playing around as well with our fonts. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Let's go check out Google Fonts, and this is the first way on how to add fonts to your website super easily. Now you can see that Google has a treasure trove of fonts. If you go to fonts.google.com, you can see all kinds of fonts here. You can see Montserrat, Roboto, all the classics, Open Sans. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to just choose Train 1, for example. Now you see in the top right corner there's a button that says download family, which downloads the files locally to computer, the fonts. So it means you can use it on Photoshop, or you can use it in your IDE, or you can use it on all kinds of applications locally for your computer. But it means that the user won't be able to see those fonts because they're all just on your computer. So Google has this option as well. So if you see here on the right it says select this style. If you click that, and in the top right, if you click view your selected families, you then see Train 1 here, and you get these two options here. And this is where we're most interested in here. If you open that, that just tells you that it's regular 400. Some other fonts, they have more options here, which you can select. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple, and we're just going to choose this font. So where it says link here, this actually goes into your index.html, which I showed you earlier. And it contains the font via Google CDN. So let's go back and let's go to index, and just under here we will add the font, and we'll add it in the header section here. And then if we go to the font family here, and then we grab the Train 1 font, and this will go in the style sheet. It's your font family. Google's already prepared it for you. And then if we go under here and then we add Train 1 and we go back to our React application, we can see if we inspect that, that Train 1 is indeed working. If we delete Train 1 here, we should just get cursive, which is almost like Comic Sans. So we'll go back, add Train 1. Go back to our React application, and we'll just comment that out. So if we go back, we can see that that's now not working. And we'll go back to our index.html and delete this and this pre-connect that it's added. And we should just have that. And now you can see that it's gone back to the fallback font, which is cursive, instead of the Train 1 that we wanted. So the second method is if you go here and just select this section within the import and copy that, and you pop it into your style sheet at the very top. And if we go back and we add this again, it has the exact same effect as before when we added it to our index.html file. All that it is that you're adding it to your CSS file. And this is generally how I tend to add it. You can do it however you want, but I just find this a bit more simpler for me. And I have a bit more control over it. So the second method for adding a font to your website is actually by downloading it onto your project and then having the user download it from your application itself rather than Google CDN via Google. So we're going to do that by going to fontsquirrel.com and downloading a font of our own. Now I've chosen Cashew Script, and the reason why I've chosen that is because of this very important option that this font is being offered with on this website. Just a heads up, Font Scroll's a great resource for getting free fonts, and I've been using it for years and years and years. Couldn't recommend it enough. Now, if you want to download a custom font like Cashew Script, for example, click on Web Font, and then make sure you've downloaded it. So I've already downloaded it, so I don't need to download it again. Go to Web Font Generator. Make sure you upload the font. So I've got that there, Cashew Script Regular. And then just make sure you click the agree button here. And then download your kit. And then it will start processing your font for you so you can use it on your website. Now it might take a little time, but it will be done eventually. And there you go. And then you download that. And if we open up the zip file that we download, and we open up style sheet here, and we'll open up with Notepad, and you can see that it's provided us with the font face already all set up for us. We copy that and we just go up here at the top of the style sheet and we add that. And you can see that it's looking for Cashew Script regular web font WAF2 and WAF1. WAF is basically a font format for the internet, for the web, and WAF2 is the next generation, which is really good for variable fonts, and it's required for that. I am a little unsure about this name here. I'm not sure I want to keep Cashew_script regular. This is kind of just a variant of the font that they've added on just to say, oh yeah, you can get a bold version, you can get a regular version, you can get an italic version, etc., etc. So let's just get rid of that for now. We just want it as Cashew. We need to actually get these fonts and put it on our project. So you can see I've set up a folder for us. So within our source folder, I've got assets, and within that, I've got the font folder. So let's just go and put the fonts that React is crying that we haven't got right now. Let's grab these two fonts and pop them into the fonts folder here. So now we have these two locally. So what I'll do is I'll click /, go to assets, go to fonts, and we'll go to regular web font 2, assets, again, fonts, and WAF2. So make sure that you've structured this relatively to the WAF2 files and the WAF Cashew script file. We just need to make sure that header knows that we want to use Cashew as the font family. If we go font family Cashew, autocomplete, lovely, and then sans serif, and that's it. If we refresh the page, we can see that we now have Cashew script on our header. Very nice. Yep, and it's there. And that's how you add fonts to your website. Now, Font Face is a brilliant tool to have at your disposal as a web designer or a web developer. It has multiple options, multiple ways to organize your fallback fonts, and you can see here it is really cool. You can decide what your font weight is, what your font style is off the bat. So for example, if I decided that I wanted the font weight to be bold instead by default, or I wanted the font style to be italic by default, you could have a font weight that's normal, and then you could have a version that's bold. So there's lots you can do. You could even have different fallbacks, etc., etc. I am going to do a separate video on this, going into details of all the cool stuff that you can do with Font Face and how you can really supercharge how you do fonts on your website. But for now, that should be enough to get started and to put fonts on your website. If you are feeling brave and you want to try Font Face, give it a go. If you're already used to using Google Fonts. If you are just adding fonts to your website for the first time, I would suggest sticking to Google Fonts. this is a brilliant resource for adding fonts to your website. It's really quick, and like I said, there's loads of options. So now that you know how to add fonts to your website, make sure to like and subscribe, as it does help the channel. But as always, I've been Harry, and this has been Curious Byte.